Krishna, welcome all to the devotees. Now we start today's Bhagavatam class with the shloka number स्कंद दूसरा अध्याय तीसरा श्लोका नंबर 8 and 9. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
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 नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी.
श्लोका 8 and 9 of chapter 3, skand 2. धर्म अर्थ उत्तम श्लोकम तंतुः.
धर्म अर्थ उत्तम श्लोकम तंतुः.
तन्वन् पितॄन् यजेत्.
तन्वन् पितॄन् यजेत्.
रक्षा कामः पुण्यजनान् ओजः.
रक्षा कामः पुण्यजनान् ओजः.
कामः मरुद्गणान्.
कामः मरुद्गणान्.
राज्य काम म्हणून देवान्.
राज्य कामः म्हणून देवान्.
निवृत्तिं तु अभिचरण यजेत्.
निवृत्तिं तु अभिचरण यजेत्.
काम काम एजेत् सोमम्.
काम कामः यजेत् सोमम्.
अकामः पुरुषं परम्.
अकामः पुरुषं परम्.
धर्म अर्थ उत्तम श्लोक तंतुः.
धर्म अर्थ उत्तम श्लोकं तंतुः.
तन्वन पितॄन् यजेत्.
तन्वन पितॄन् यजेत्.
रक्षा काम पुण्यजनान् ओजः.
रक्षा कामः पुण्यजनान् ओजः.
कामः मरुद्गणान्.
ओजः कामः मरुद्गणान्.
राज्य काम म्हणून देवान्.
राज्य कामः म्हणून देवान्.
निवृत्तिं तु अभिचरण यजेत्.
निवृत्तिं तु अभिचरण यजेत्.
काम काम यजेत् सोमम्.
काम कामः यजेत् सोमम्.
अकामः पुरुषं परम्.
अकामः पुरुषं परम्.
धर्म अर्थ उत्तम श्लोक तंतु तन्वन् पितॄन् यजेत्. रक्षा काम पुण्यजनान् ओजः काम मरुद्गणान्. राज्य काम म्हणून देवान्. निवृत्तिं तु अभिचरण यजेत्. काम काम यजेत् सोमम्. कामः अकामः पुरुषं परम्.
धर्म अर्थ उत्तम श्लोकं तंतुः तन्वन् पितॄन् यजेत्. रक्षा कामः पुण्यजनान् ओजः कामः मरुद्गणान्. राज्य कामः म्हणून देवान्. निवृत्तिं तु अभिचरण यजेत्. काम कामः यजेत् सोमम्. अकामः पुरुषं परम्.
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One should worship Lord Viṣṇu or his devotee for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. One should worship the various demigods. One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. One should desire victory over an enemy, should worship the demons, and one should desire sense gratification, should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada. The path of religion entails making progress on the path of spiritual advancement, ultimately reviving the eternal relation with Lord Viṣṇu in his impersonal effulgence. He is localized the Paramatma feature and ultimately its personal feature by spiritual advancement in knowledge, and one who wants to establish a good dynasty and be happy in progress of temporary bodily relation should take shelter of the Pitṛs and the demigods. In other pious planets, such different classes of worshippers of different demigods may ultimately reach the respective planets of those demigods within the universe. But he who reaches the spiritual planets in Brahma Jyoti achieves the highest perfection. For a liberated person, all the enjoyment listed above are considered to be absolutely useless. Only those who are conditioned by the material modes of external energy are captivated by different types of material enjoyment. In other words, the transcendentalist has no material desire to be fulfilled, whereas the materialist has all types of desires to be fulfilled. The Lord has proclaimed that The materialists who desire material enjoyment and thus seek the favor of different demigods, as above mentioned, are not in control of their senses and so give themselves to nonsense. One should therefore not desire any sort of material enjoyment, being sensible enough to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The leaders of nonsensical persons are still more nonsensical because they preach openly and foolishly that one can worship any form of demigod and get the same result. This sort of preaching is not only against the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita or those of Srimad Bhagavatam, but is also foolish, just as it is foolish to claim that with the purchase of any travel ticket, one may reach the same destination. No one can reach Bombay from Delhi by purchasing a ticket for Baroda. It is clearly defined herein that person impregnated with different desires have different modes of worship. But one who has no desire for material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. And this worship process is called devotional service. Pure devotional service means service to the Lord without any tinge of material desire, including desire for purity activity and empiric speculation. For fulfillment of material desires, one may worship the Supreme Lord, but the result of such worship is different, as will be explained in the next verse. Generally, the Lord does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but he awards such benedictions to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment. The conclusion is that one must minimize the desires for material enjoyment, and for this one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described here as Param, or beyond anything material. Sripad Shankaracharya has also stated Narayana Para Avekta. The Supreme Lord is beyond the material encirclement. Om Jnana Timirandasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णु पादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवान्वी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषण्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण once again welcome to all devotees. Today we try to understand Bhagavatam Canto 2nd chapter 3rd shloka number 8 and 9. Before we heard about different things, we pray for different demigods. Here again they describing about 5 aspects which we worship or different 5 demigods. They're describing, but last point they describe about instead of all these things, only one thing is important to take the surrender of the God and to worship the only Krishna Bhagavan. That is important point they describe here. Prabhuji will tell us in nicely.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So, Shukdev Goswami ji is continuing to respond to Parikshit Maharaj. And after having told him everything, he is now telling him the various modalities, how desire based requirements or prayers would lead again back to entanglement, and how only desireless devotion to the Supreme Lord leads to the liberation from material bondage. So these verses are outlining the different paths of worship based on desires. So here we see, if you go by the shloka, that what is important is we should worship Krishna or his devotees for spiritual knowledge. That is very, very important. So, if you are really interested in spiritual knowledge, and why we should be interested in spiritual knowledge is because that is our original state. We are not of this material world. We are not material. We are spiritual. But unfortunately, because of the illusion which is created by Maya, we forget this real identity. So, if you have to re-establish this real identity, what we need to have is again the spiritual knowledge. So, for that, what we should be doing is we should be worshipping Krishna or his devotees. But if you are looking for temporary material benefits like family prosperity, then people can take shelter of demigods or Pitṛs, forefathers. So, for the life, there can be a spiritual goal or a material diversion. I'm not calling it as a goal. Neither has Prabhupada ji called this as a goal. He's calling it as a material diversion. So either you can have a spiritual goal or a material diversion. If you have a spiritual goal, then you'll be doing spiritual worship. And material diversion, you'll be doing material worship. You may worship Lord Krishna for spiritual growth while you'll be worshipping demigods for material aspects. Spiritual worship will lead us to Brahmajyoti or Vaikuntha planets, while the material diversion will lead us to temporary enjoyment on pious planets. Spiritual goal will ensure that one day there is awakening of Krishna consciousness, while the material objective will ensure that we are encouraging attachment to bodily relationships and maintaining us as a baddha jiva. So while there we can become a mukta jiva, or I'll say while here in spiritual knowledge we can become a mukta jiva if we remain materially, we will become a baddha jiva. So this is our choice. Because this is just like Vidya and Avidya, which you studied in the Ishopnishad when you did the Ishopnishad classes on the weekend some time ago. So the true Vidya is understanding the Lord is the proprietor of all. I'm again repeating. Understanding that the Lord is the proprietor of all is true Vidya, and the aim is self-realization. And Avidya is pursuit of material enjoyment leading to the darkness ignorance. Those who misuse Vedas for sense enjoyment, Vedavadarata, fall deeper into the ignorance than atheists. We studied this, that they will go to the Andhatamaha part of the material world. And it is just like being Atmaha, that is, killer of the soul. The choice is ours. Whether we wish to be the killer of the soul or we want to gain true knowledge, where we accept Krishna is the proprietor of all, Sarvakarana Karanam, and we aim for self-realization. But we are going to be having impediments on the path in the form of misguided education and demoniac civilization. Because modern educational system, it lacks Krishna consciousness and promotes avidya. So, educated materialists, they are like decorated cobra, more dangerous. Now, cobra itself, because of the poison, is dangerous. But if Sarah says jewels and the cobra is decorated, then obviously people would feel like, oh, can I have that jewel? and they would try to take it, and what would happen? Game over. Similarly, educated materialists are more dangerous. In fact, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, in 15th shloka of the 7th chapter, he says, materialists who reject God are called mudhas, the fools. Krishna has clearly said it. Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhama maya apahrita jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. So those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto him. The question comes, if liberation is possible, simply surrendering unto the lotus feet of Krishna, why don't intelligent, hardworking leaders adopt this method? And Gita answers that question very frankly. The reason is envy. The atheistic people, they are called as dushkritinaha, miscreants. So, it is up to us whether we want to be the dushkritina or the mudha, or we can become a bhakta and enjoy eternal bliss, happiness along with Krishna. And for that, what is required is proper scriptural understanding. We must follow revealed scriptures with faith and guidance from acharyas. Only this knowledge can lead to spiritual emancipation. So we should believe it. And if we doubt, then such doubters, they neither find happiness in this life nor the next. And again, this is mentioned by Krishna and none else. Ajnah cha shraddhadhanah cha संशयात्मा विनश्यति न यम लोकः अस्ति न परः न sukham संशयात्मनः. But ignorant, faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. It is very important that we believe and we trust Krishna. Krishna is not asking anything from us. He's just looking at our bhava. You see, he says, Man bhana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. He's not asking for anything else. And the ultimate, I'll say, the conclusion is, Sarva dharman pariteja mamekam sharanam vraja. So we have to be careful, because it's the motivation which determines the worship. Based on desire, there can be different worships. You desire empire or kingdom, so maybe Putin, he should worship Manu. You desire victory in battle, so maybe the Israeli president should worship demons. You want sense gratification? Then worship moon. But no material desires. Akamaha, then Supreme Lord Viṣṇu. Because that leads to the path of pure devotion, bhakti. Only the akama bhakta, desireless devotees, qualifies for pure devotional service. This is something which actually is the definition of bhakti, as we studied in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, first canto, first chapter, 11th shloka, where it is clearly mentioned, Anyabhilashita shunyam dhyana karmadi anavrutam anukullena Krishna anushilanam bhaktiruttama. So first class devotional service, if you have to develop, one must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monastic philosophy and fruitive action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. And desire of Krishna is very, very simple. Krishna openly says, Nacha tasmat manushechu kaschit na me priya akrutamah bhavita nacha me tasmat anya priyatara bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there be one more dear. And who is he? One who is doing the preaching work. Because that is going to help us overcome the cycle of birth and material desire. Material desires are equal to repeated birth and death. So according to one's desires, Kama, Krishna gives different material bodies through material nature. Even Brahma has material desires and is not free from birth, and that is why he also has a specific lifespan and suffers death. abortion, meat eating, they are scripturally restricted, they are sinful, and keep one in material bondage. So, demigod worship, is it recommended? Is it there a purpose? Yes. Demigod worship is not encouraged but restricted and conditional. Purpose is gradual elevation, not an end goal. All yajnas require Krishna's sanction, so intelligent worshippers eventually turn toward him directly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us the same teachings. Yehi rupe brahmanda brahmite kona bhagyavana jiva. The fortunate soul, after wandering through millions of births, gets the seed of devotion by Guru and Krishna's person. So the conclusion is the ultimate choice. If one truly wants freedom from karma and rebirth, one must give up all material desires. Akamaha. Worship the Supreme Lord Krishna and follow authorized scriptures and acharyas. This alone leads to eternal perfection and freedom from suffering. Okay, we accept it. So, what are the tasks? Tasks are very simple. 1. Follow the 4 regulative principles. 2. Chant minimum 16 rounds. 3. Please be in association of the devotees in whatever way you can. 4. Read the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Participate in Sankirtan Yajna. Have deities in our house, either the Vigrahas or the photo frames. Because Krishna said, Manmana bhavat mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So you can pay homage to him, you can worship him. So having deities in a Grihastha's house is very, very important. Take only Krishna prasadam. Whatever you cook, offer to Krishna and then partake that prasad. And serve devotees, Guru, Krishna in whatever way you can. So the key takeaway from the shlokas today is spiritual progress and ultimate perfection. They are achieved by worshipping Lord Viṣṇu with faith, guided by authentic scriptures and acharyas. Secondly, material pursuits, demigod worship for material gains, misinterpretation of scriptures leads to deeper ignorance and bondage. 3. Real education is self-realization, Krishna consciousness. Anything else is avidya, ignorance. And 4th, faith and proper guidance are essential for spiritual advancement, while doubt and misinterpretation result in spiritual failure. So let us pray to Krishna that all of us together help each other to always remain firm on this path of sadhana bhakti, so that one day we are successful in remembering Krishna when it matters the most. And if we unfortunately fall down, then all of us together can simply bring them back up together. Thank you very much.